Malini Ramasubramanya will present the next paper titled Technical Innovation in Indian Percussion Instruments.
Namaste one and all. I am Malini Ramasubramanya from Department of Performing Arts, University of Bangalore. My topic for today's presentation is Technical Innovations in Indian Percussion Instruments, specifically Mridangam. India possesses a rich variety of musical instruments. There are as many as 500 of them. Each of these instruments have distinct shape, size and construction. These instruments have their own technique of play. Instruments of percussion are usually time-keeping instruments. These instruments have been in use from Vedic times or even much before that. A few instruments like nagari, bheri were used during war times to signify the commencement or the start of the war. They were also used to warn villagers about robbers at a distance. Of the stringed, wind and percussion instruments are the oldest of all. The idea of drum was suggested to man by birds. For example, woodpecker, which produced a drum-like sound when it was hitting the hollow trunks of trees with its beak. In most of our concerts, Indian concerts, the main percussion instrument is Mridangam. All of us know about this percussion instrument, Mridangam. In ancient Hindu culture, painting and mythology, Mridangam is often depicted as the instrument of choice for a number of deities including Ganesha and Nandi. Nandi is said to have played Mridanga during Shiva's Tandava dance. In early days, Mridanga was made by hardened clay or mud. This hardened clay envelope has open ends. It was closed with membrane or skin of animals, different animals. This envelope used to have air inside it, and the skin membrane was tied to the hardened clay with the help of rope. This was the construction in earlier days. Over the years, Mridangam evolved to be made of different kinds of wood. Due to durability, today Mridangam is constructed with the help of jackwood. Mridanga, basically it is a double-sided drum whose body is made with jackfruit tree. It is a hollow piece of wood or a hollow envelope. The thickness of the wood would be around 1 inch. It is played with both hands. Its shape resembles two truncated cones placed end to end with narrow ends outwards. Over the open ends, drum skins are stretched. To enable the drum skins to be tightened to any desired tension and to have uniform tension in all directions, drum heads are firmly attached to circular hoops by interlaced thongs of leather. The hoops are then put over the ends of drum. A long band of leather repeatedly passes through both the hoops to and fro over the full length of the drum, totally 16 times at equal intervals along its circumference. The vibration set up on drum skin depends on its tension. Wherever we go, all over the India, Mridanga has 16 straightening strips only. From this, it is clear that the inventors of drum not only realized the importance of equalizing the tensions, but they laid stress on having exactly the right number of tension equalizers. Leather cards are placed on 8 cylindrical blocks of wood, which helps the fine adjustment of tension in leather card. The two drum skins or the membranes are dissimilar in width. Wider the aperture, it produces bass sound. Narrow the aperture, it produces sound of higher pitch or the treble sound. Narrow aperture membrane has a coating called carne made of rice flour, ferric oxide, manganese oxide and starch. This carne helps in producing harmonics. Without carne will not be harmonic in nature. The acoustic characters were studied and nicely explained by famous physicist Sir C.V. Raman. The left hand drum is loaded with a piece of dough which is moistened and put on in sufficient quantity at the center of the drum head to bring the pitch down to desired value. The most striking property of the drum is that is the harmonic drum is that any desired mode of vibration may be excited as easily as the stretched string by plucking it suitably. The drum head alone is incapable of producing prolonged vibration, so the heavy rigid shell is favorable to the sustained vibration of the drum head. The loading of drum head greatly increases the energy of vibration, in turn produces sustained tone. The presence of enclosed air within the shell is also a factor in producing sustained tone. Sir C.V. Raman has explained the production of harmonic overtones in a simplest way. By putting a thin layer of sand on drum head, easily he could prove the formation of different nodal lines. These nodal lines represent the standing waves produced on the drum head. As we get standing lines on the stretched string, we get standing waves on the stretched skin membrane also. This is represented by the nodal lines with the help of sand on the drum head. The picture shows first, second, third and fourth harmonics on the drum head. First mode of vibration is that without any interior nodal lines. The second tone of drum head is having one nodal diameter. Third overtone of drum has two parallel nodal lines stretching across the drum. The fourth tone of the drum has three parallel nodal lines stretching across it. For next overtones, as the duration of the tone is small, it is not easy to obtain its sand figures. The right hand drum head has three layers of skin of different animals. Left hand drum head has two layers of skin. On these membranes, we can see the width of the marginal ring of leather superposed on the drum head has a notable influence of duration of tone. On these membranes, we can see the width of marginal ring of leather superposed on the drum head has a notable influence on duration of tone. The ring acts as a kind of damper and its width is adjusted to obtain the desired kind of tone. If the ring is broad, we obtain a muffled tone of short duration in which few overtones are present. If the ring is narrow, then tone will be prolonged and also it is brighter, having more overtones. Hence, marginal ring is mainly used to suppress high tones which are not desired. Modern variant of mridangam is tabla. It has two drums. Even though they have much in common, in acoustic properties they are no way identical. In some recent forms of mridanga, the tightening is effected by 16 iron rods placed at equal intervals round the drums, each having a hook which goes over the circular hoop of drum skin and is provided with a tightening nut and bolt at the lower end. This type of mridangam is very common nowadays. People prefer this kind of mridangam, since it is very easy to maintain the shruti or tune it easily with the help of nut and bolt. They need not hammer it on the leather. So that one accommodation is there with the new mridangam. With this tension, with this nut and bolt facility, tension can be adjusted accurately. But this mridangam, because of the hollow envelope of the jackwood, its weight is very high. It is very heavy to carry. People find it very difficult to carry it to various places. Nowadays, we are getting assorted parts of the mridangam. These parts, it has three parts. The parts can be kept in a box and can be carried easily. So this is nowadays recent times we have this assorted type of mridanga. Where people might prefer this more because it can be easy. They can carry the mridangam easily to various places. So through this presentation, I have made a humble attempt to give you a glimpse of the evolution of Mridanga, which is one of the most famous or most used Indian percussion instruments. Thank you all.
We have Janaki Garimella presenting to us a paper on the impact of technology on music research with reference to Apurva Ragas. Janaki Garimella.
Hello and welcome one and all to this virtual International Science Fiction Conference. I am Janaki Garimella, pursuing research at the Department of Performing Arts in the field of music from Bangalore University under the guidance of Professor Dr. Hamsini Nagendra Madam. My humble pranams to Professor Dr. Hamsini Nagendra Madam. Now we shall move to the presentation of my topic. The title of the topic is Impact of Technology on Music Research with reference to Apurva Ragas. Let us see the agenda for the presentation today. Starting with, I shall introduce the brief definitions of the terms music, research, technology, and then move on to the definitions of ragas and Apurva Ragas, and then move on to the discussion on the technological usage in the steps of the research. So mainly I will be discussing on the technology that is being used and the benefits the benefits of the technology in the steps like data collection, data preservation and analysis. And then we move on to the techno benefits, and then later I shall also discuss the drawbacks and limitations of the technology, followed by the conclusion. Moving to the first slide, that's introduction. According to the Oxford University, technology may be defined as application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. This can be extended and applicable to various domains and fields. Music is one among them. In today's world, technology has become an integral part of life. More importantly, for learning process from elementary education to higher education, technology can be termed as a new backbone of research. According to the Cambridge University, the term research may be defined as a detailed study of a subject, especially in order to discover new information or reach a new understanding. Coming to the term music, it is an art form consisting patterns of sounds that express ideas and emotions through elements of rhythm and melody. I shall now move on to the next slide. I shall discuss two terms in music research, wherein it is, basically in music. So it's one is the raga. A raga is defined by scholar Matanga in his treatise Brihaddesi as one that is decorated by swara and varna and which brings happiness in minds and soul of listeners. Ragas were classified by scholars in many ways, like Sampurna, Raganga, Audava, Shadava, Bhashanga, etc. Apurva Ragas is one such classification. Apurva Ragas may be defined as newly found ragas which are innovated by various scholars. So these are in the Carnatic music system of Indian music. We term these various scholars as Vagyakaras. Moving on to the next slide. So here I shall discuss on the various discuss on the data collection and data preservation and storage steps of research and how technology is helpful in these steps for music research, especially for Apurva Ragas. So coming to the first point, initially the manuscripts and palm leaves were available. So these were edited and were converted to printable forms and made available to music students and artists. So similarly, the compositions which were available in the form of manuscripts were also made available in printable forms with the help of the technology. So example for this could be Sangeeta Sampradaya Pradarshini, which is a treatise which was published in the year 1904. Coming to the audio and video recordings, so earlier the recordings used to happen in gramophones, and later as the technology advanced, it moved on to cassettes and CDs, and now these recordings, which were of veterans from yesteryears, were being uploaded in YouTube, and it is now these recordings are being able to reach a maximum number of people. Coming to the next point, which is on All India Radio and Doordarshan, these belong to the telemedia. So, wherein, yeah, as I was saying, the recordings and the performances of various veterans from yesteryears have been preserved in the digital format and now are being available to the current generation. Moving on to the gadgets, so earlier there were no devices for recording. Only that after some time tape recorders came as a because of the technology, and later now voice recorders are also available. Now, as in the current generation, it's being like we have the apps in the phone, which is we can record from anywhere, and can store the data. So this is for easy data collection. And moving on to the e-sources, so the e-sources could be electronic sources. So wherein here treatises which are out of print, which are not available now, are being available in the form of digital format or electronic format. So one such example could be Naradiya Siksha treatise. Moving on to the e-library and digital library. So earlier, for any reference of any book or so, the student or the seeker has to go physically to the library and browse through the list of volume of books and try to get the information. But now, because of the digital library system, and the person can access a digital library anywhere and able to gather information and able to read different various reference books, etc. So one such example could be there is a digital library situated in the Music Academy, Chennai, and also Gaikwad Oriental Library website is available. There are many websites and search engines for the data collection, which will be helpful. For example, Shodhganga. So this Shodhganga is a repository of various thesis, repository and a collection of various theses submitted by so far in the area of the research. So any research scholar can go through the website and get an idea of what are all the research areas covered in his or her area of research. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about, I should talk about data preservation and analysis. So earlier, data preservation was a huge and voluminous task. So it was very difficult for people because they had to keep everything in their memory and remember everything. But because of the advancement of the technology, currently we are storing in the form of a digital format. Because of this, even in the case of my study Apurva Ragas, so wherein a bunch of around 250 ragas were taken for analysis. And because of this taking the help of technology, I was able to classify different classify the ragas as Audava, Shadava, Jenya and Janaka ragas, etc., along with their scale. And the slightest differences can be identified with using the software. And this software design and customization of the software can also be made possible. And due to the advancement of technology, different versions of notation from various schools and can be chosen, and the best one can be taken. Since a lot of information is available, it helps to identify authenticity of available information. So that is about digital storage. Now it can be stored in the hard storing in the hard disk is a earlier way, and now it can be stored in multiple places in Google Cloud, etc., to avoid data loss, and multiple copies can be stored. And coming to the analysis, so the data preserved can be is data preserved is analyzed using graphical representation, various modeling techniques using the software, and statistical and comparative analysis is made, and different tools and packages are available for data analysis. Several apps are also a result of the technology, which a scholar can take the help of and analyze the data. And this conducting interviews and online surveys has been made very easy. So earlier on surveys were very huge tasks, and because of the technology, as a result of technology, the surveys became online. And now the surveys are like through email or Google Forms, etc., which helps in a faster process. We shall move on to the techno benefits. So this reduces the manual work and potential for human error. It increases speed of research process. Systematic and organized data representation can be done. Ease and faster access and search process. Multilinguistic script, footnotes, insertion of audio video files in the thesis preparation can be done. And it is accessible across geographical locations. As we can see, like today's the conference or virtual online conference, also we are accessing it from our home. So this is all possible because of the technology. And apart from this, the interaction with the guide, discussion, feedback, and comments can also become online. And we can also have a track of the discussions had using Gmail and Zoom meetings and all happening because of the technology. And nowadays, the classes, because of the COVID situation, the students are unable to move or unable to learn classes physically face to face. So because at this point of time, also technology is of great help for us. So Skype classes, Zoom classes is being happening, and this is also because of the technology. Now moving on to next slide. So limitations and drawbacks could be, since a lot of data and information are available, so the scholar has to evaluate and validate the data, and they should have the skill and know-how of how to use the technology. Environmental issues like system issues, network issues, hardware crashes can occur, but of course they can be minimized. And but the drawback of technology is also it affects the art of handwriting skills, the manual visualization, and the memory power will be limited and decreased. And there is always a increase in the dependency of the on the digital system and technology. Also it affects the social disconnect. So earlier, whenever there used to be a interview happening with the legends, so there used to a rapport used to get built. But because of this technology dependency, a social disconnect can also arise. Coming to the conclusion, everything in in the technology has both advantages and disadvantages. So we need to focus on the positive things, and to be used in a judicious, harmless, and in a balanced manner. So yeah, this is all about my presentation today. Thank you.
Deepashri S.N. She will be presenting her paper titled Shruti Analysis in Select Rakti Ragas. We have before you Deepashri S.N.
Namaste. I am Deepashri, Senior Research Fellow in Music at the Department of Performing Arts, Bangalore University. The topic that I have chosen for presentation today is Shruti analysis of select Rakti Ragas. The idea is to give a better understanding of the Rakti Ragas through the pitch or the frequency analysis of the inherent notes. Before getting into the details, I would like to give an overview of the terminologies involved in order to get a better understanding of the topic. Sound is basically a form of energy perceivable through our ears. We all know sound is produced by vibration of bodies, and this vibration, which forms the basis of sound, is characterized by its frequency or the number of vibrations per second. The sound which is pleasing to the ear is called nada, or if we can define it technically, sound made up of a single frequency or a combination of a few correlated frequency could be termed as a musical sound or nada. Shruti. Shruti is the smallest pitch difference or interval that a human ear can detect. And this pitch or Shruti depends on the frequency of a particular note, and the study of the inherent Shrutis in ragas helps in decoding and understanding their identity. Musical note or swara is what I would be explaining next. Swara could be defined as a sound of a definite frequency, and the variations in a frequency of a swara are perceived through the pitch or shruti of the swara. In Indian music, we have the concept of the seven swaras or the sapta swaras, the Shadja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Daivata, and Nishada, and they are denoted as Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, and Ni respectively. And for practical purposes, we have the chromatic scale or the 12 swarasthanas. We have the 12 notes, that is Shadja and Panchama, the two constants, and the variables Ri, Ga, Ma, Da, Ni having two varieties each. So, all in total 12. So, next is the raga. Raga is a specific combination of notes, and the scale is the representation of the same. Ragas are not just the specific combination of the notes, but in practice, every raga has its own unique movements or sancharas and the characteristic gamakas. Gamakas are the oscillations of the notes and some special pleasing sancharas. So all these things combined will give the raga its uniqueness. So the gamakas are not just the oscillations, they are the ornamentations or the embellishments, as what we can call them. They are the embellishments applied to the musical notes or swaras featuring in a raga, thereby giving the raga its unique identity. And these characteristic oscillations of the swaras, they enable the expression of the raga bhava or the uniqueness, that particular flavor of the raga. So, what are Rakti Ragas? Rakti Ragas are a type of ragas which are mainly dependent on the characteristic note combinations, or I would say the signature combinations and the specific gamakas, and not merely on the notes or scales. By this, what I mean is that some particular phrases or some note combinations are and along with the specific gamakas, they give this particular ragas their unique identity, and they really don't entirely depend on the notes or the scales. Yeah, this is how we represent the raga scales. Here for demonstration purpose, I have taken two ragas, Saveri and Todi. As we all can see here, apart from the Shadja and Panchama, that is the constants, we have Rishabha, Madhyama, Daivata. And here also, if we can compare the Rishabha, the variety of Rishabha, that is Ri1, we call it as Shuddha Rishabha and Ma1, that is Shuddha Madhyama, and the 1 or the Shuddha Daivata are the three common notes in these two ragas. Though the notes are same, or the varieties of or the swarasthanas are same, the amount of gamakas that we put in, or the way we sing, we pronounce those notes, is what makes the difference. So next I have a graphical representation of these frequencies compared in these two ragas. I have for practical purpose, I have taken only two here. Though we have three notes in common, I have taken the Rishabha and Daivata for comparison here. Let me zoom. Okay. Yeah. Here, if we can see, here we are comparing the note Rishabha, that is Shuddha Rishabha in particular. So if we can see the frequencies here, this Rishabha or the Shuddha Rishabha oscillates at a frequency of around 1.3 kHz, and the same Shuddha Rishabha oscillates at a different, the higher frequency of around 2 kHz. And also one more thing that I want to show here is that the difference, the pitch difference or the frequency difference or the interval between the two adjacent notes, that is Rishabha and Shadja, or in specific Shuddha Rishabha and Shadja. The same Shuddha Rishabha Shadja combination in two scales or the two ragas compared, in the first set the interval is very less compared to the second one, that is in the raga Todi we have a pitch difference or the frequency difference between the Rishabha and Shadja is more compared to the one in the raga Saveri. Similarly, we have Daivata and Panchama combination again. We are comparing the note Daivata or the Shuddha Daivata in specific here. See, the Daivata oscillates at a frequency of 2.9 K, and the same Shuddha Daivata oscillates or vibrates at a higher frequency of around 3.1 kHz here. And also see, if we can see here, the Daivata and Panchama, they are almost nearer, and the interval, the pitch difference or the frequency difference between the two notes is very less compared to the same two notes in a raga Todi. So this is how we can say that this is resulted due to the gamakas or the oscillations that we give to these particular notes while singing. That is this particular Daivata in this raga Saveri, I can show you, I can sing it for you. Pada is what is this da, and the same da in this raga is pada ni sa ni da pa da is what is here, and here it is pada pa da is here, and it vibrates at much lower frequency compared to the same Shuddha Daivata in the raga Todi. So what we can say is that, or what we can conclude from this analysis is that it is very important to use the notes or the swaras with the correct gamakas for the proper delineation of a raga. and the melodic individuality of the ragas is presented through, as we have seen here, the individuality of these two ragas is presented through the characteristic shrutis or the pitch differences here. And what I would like to say is that any two ragas, maybe they are not born out of the same parent raga, but still they share one or two notes in common, or any two ragas born out of a same parent, they might derive the same notes as that of the parent, but it's the proper application of gamakas or the proper application of oscillations or the embellishments to that particular note gives them the deserved uniqueness. Thank you.
Today we had Srimati Ranjani Vasuki, who spoke on Avadhana Pallavi. More than speaking, she demonstrated the Avadhana Pallavi, which is practiced by very few in South Indian music scenario. There are very few who can ably conduct a demonstration or sing an Avadhana Pallavi. As you have all watched the paper presentation, it is a very technical thing, putting two talas and the same sahitya and maintaining two talas by both the hands. It was a wonderful presentation, demonstration by Srimati Ranjani Vasuki, who is a great artist at a very early age. There is a saying that whether music is for theory or for practicals. Ancient scholars have said, Sangeetam khalu laksha pradhanam. That is, music is always practical oriented. But as centuries passed away, the arts like music, dance and theatre arts have been testified with the support of theory, so that the practical demonstration, the practical learning and practical teaching will become stronger based on the theoretical aspects of it. So I thank Srimati Ranjani Vasuki for giving us a wonderful presentation, a demonstration on Avadhana Pallavi. I wish her all the best. Next was Dr. H.P. Shyamsundar. He spoke on music therapy, effect of music in healing and mind and body. Dr. Shyamsundar is also a doctor who is practicing medicine, and he could, because of that reason, he could very well portray the effect of music, especially as a medicine on human mind and body. In his demonstration, he spoke and threw light on many important things which can be followed by a music therapist. And I, on behalf of everyone, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. H.P. Shyamsundar for the wonderful presentation. The third paper presenter was Miss Elizabeth Maloney from the USA. She spoke on sound making for dance making, understanding from inside out. That was an elaborate discussion in which she proved the inside out elements of understanding dance with regard to sound. And on behalf of all of us, I take this opportunity to thank Miss Elizabeth Maloney for her wonderful presentation. Thank you, madam. The fourth paper presenter was Srimati Malini Ramasubramanya. She spoke on technical innovations in Indian percussion instruments. Voice production and the sound system pertaining to voice box is a developed science of elements, but on instruments, musical instruments, lots of experiments and research is going on right now. So Dr. Malini Subramania could portray her valuable inputs, musical thoughts while presenting her paper on technical innovations in Indian percussion instruments, which was very interesting. On behalf of all these scholars and everyone, I thank Dr. Malini Subramania for the same. Thank you, madam. Srimati Janaki Garimella spoke on impact of technology on music research with references to Apurva Ragas. This was a very intricate subject because it involves around the raga system of Indian music. We all know that raga has its own characteristics. Each raga is sung in a definite mode with its lakshanas, the characteristics. Srimati Janaki Garimella very strongly proved that the technology on music has improved the understanding of ragas in a better way. Her paper was full of demonstrations and very apt examples. On behalf of everyone, I thank Srimati Janaki Garimella for her wonderful presentation. Thank you. The last paper was presented by Srimati Deepashri. She took a very intricate subject, that Shruti analysis in select Rakti Ragas. Again, the raga system of Indian music has many intricacies inside it. To understand the elements of all these lakshanas or the characteristics, one has to do a deep research and come to an authentic conclusion. It's a very difficult task actually. And Srimati Deepashri very ably proved that Shruti is the main component of any swara and any raga, and she chose to demonstrate her paper with selected Rakti Ragas. That was a wonderful, very interesting paper by Srimati Deepashri N. And I thank all the 5 paper presenters today for making this session very interesting and enthralling and enchanting. Thank you one and all. Thank you. Namaste.